All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Grind Podcast, where I talk hunting, entrepreneurship, and the daily grind, and what it takes to earn success. And today I have an extra special guest. Remy Warren is on the show today. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
How's life in the fast lane?
It's good. It's really good. Just got just essentially grinding, man. Just got this is kind of a busy time of year for me, just trying to play a little bit of catch up, but also spend a little bit of family time as well, try to squeeze that in too. So it's a big balance, but it's a lot of fun.
But wait, it's supposed to be the off season.
Yeah. I've tried to schedule my life so there is no off season, and it's worked pretty well so far.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, you and I were kind of joking around before this podcast, talking about how we go hard on 3 or 4 different things. It gets a little crazy once in a while, but you were saying like, man, you wouldn't work this hard if you didn't love it.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's one of those things like, if I look at the hours that I do all this kind of stuff, it's just like 16 plus hours a day when I'm in the office, and I'm thinking, even if and then being gone a lot too. So if it wasn't something that you love, it'd be really, really hard to do. Yeah. But that's the thing, is it doesn't even feel like work because you just love it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's cool, man. We're excited to have you. So, you and I have done some similar things in terms of hunts and whatnot, so we'll kind of touch base on that. One is going to be Kyrgyzstan, but I wanted to talk a little bit with you about backpack hunting. And I know that's one of your passions. It's also one of mine, but it's also a grueling type of hunt. And talk a little bit about your love of backpack hunting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, backpack hunting is just kind of like, I think it's just a very pure form of hunting, and I love that challenge of it, and I love just getting away. I think I started doing it because it was just a way to get away from the crowds and have essentially areas to myself and hunt animals that were acting like animals, not animals that were acting like they were being pressured. And so I think that that's kind of what started it for me. And also when I actually started backpack hunting, my mom's family was way into backpacking but didn't hunt. So As a kid, I'd go on backpacking trips, and there wasn't a lot of information on quote unquote backpack hunting. And I just remember thinking man, I bet I could do both of these things at the same time, and that'd be pretty sweet. So I started at a pretty young age, just putting on my pack and going back there, camping out and hunting. And I just really enjoyed the experience of it. And then it's just kind of continued on. And a lot of the species that I like to chase, it's conducive for backpack hunting. So sure. They're in the mountain type stuff, and it's an easy way to kind of access areas and plan your hunt that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's backpack hunting is like a progressive learning thing. It's like you're like, man, I probably shouldn't bring these canned beans and peaches anymore because it's super heavy in my pack. And it's, early on, you probably were doing some of these things like, what can I pack? I mean, there wasn't this knowledge of freeze-dried meals 15 years ago, I feel like, or maybe I'm just a stupid hunter. But it's funny how that progresses and how your kit gets better, even each year.
Oh, for sure. I'm constantly just adjusting things. And I always think about it I started out one way, and obviously gear changes and you try new things. And sometimes you add something for comfort, but take something away for weight. And I just got this way of, I kind of refine my kit by, if I've taken it and I realize in my pack, whatever I was taking, there's certain things that I just never used or rarely used. Yeah. So I kind of refine it over the years of just kind of having the bare minimums of the things that I think are nice and really helpful, and then not having too much stuff and not having too little stuff. So it's kind of a balance, but it's always changing as well. There's always new stuff coming out, or maybe you're I'm sick of doing it this way, and try something different too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I told a few of my buddies we're going to have you on the show, and I said, hey, if you could ask Remy some questions, what would you have me ask him? And some of those questions were your top 5 pieces of backpacking gear, so non-partner related. So just stuff that you use, you don't promote per se, but you just have it because you believe in it and like it, that we maybe don't know about, that you don't either put on your show or your YouTube channel or whatever. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I always have with me, and they're kind of obscure items. I think, one thing that I always have is this little Sea to Summit dry bag. It's I don't know. I think it's a liter. Uh-huh. I use it just to it's super lightweight. They've got a bunch of different weights in them. I use that to keep my puffer dry, keep my cameras dry or whatever. But as the thing that I really use it for is I stuff my like down jacket in it and use it as a pillow. I found that
Nice.
it's like, that is like a good night's sleep. You just really can't
Yeah.
get something better in the backcountry. It's like if I were to pick one thing, I've kind of adjusted my sleep system over the years to kind of make it about like sleeping super comfortable. And
Right.
I didn't always do that, but I found that the more rested I am, like the more energy I have throughout
Definitely.
the day.
You've woken up with that crooked sore neck before I take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, and I've tried those like terrible inflatable pillows. Like they just don't work. They slide all over. It's like, they're just garbage in my opinion. So I found like that leader bag stuffed with clothes or whatever I sleep really well with it.
That's interesting.
And that's one of the main reasons. So
that's what
I do too. I like stuff with multiple uses. So it's like that also works to keep gear separated and whatever. So I really like that.
Cool.
Another thing that I always have is like just contractor garbage bags. Like I use them for pack liners, but I've used them for other stuff too. Like they just have so many uses. I've crossed creeks and streams and rivers with them as like makeshift waders underneath my gators.
Oh, nice.
I use it like if I'm like up on sometimes you get up in the high country and there's like a little bit of a glacier or snow melt, but it's not really like running water. So I'll take that contractor bag, I'll just fill it with snow and then cut a little hole in the bottom. And then I set my bottle there and just leave it in the sun all day and it melts that snow really fast.
That's a good idea.
You don't even have to cut it. You can just set it, put the snow on top of it and it funnels it right into your bottle. So I'll just have like a 2-liter bottle.
Nice.
I'll stick it under there. I'll go do my hunt. I come back. I've got water that's ready to drink.
Do you filter that after the fact? You just drink it?
I mostly just drink it, but it just depends where I'm at. Like if it's super dirty, I probably would filter it. But I've gone a long time without filtering water, but I just started recently kind of filtering a little bit more.
Nice.
I've had Giardia before. It's not really fun. My dad actually got it this year too.
Oh,
so.
dang.
But I've been, and then I guess on the filtering side, I've been running a SteriPen.
Oh.
I think like, I've done everything, tablets, pumps. I just got sick of pumping stuff. So SteriPen seems to work pretty good.
Dude, pumping will wear you out. Nick and I went on a recent DIY moose hunt in Alaska, and it was like pumping stuff just wore us out. Especially when that filter gets plugged, it's like, man, you just get tired.
It depends where you're at, though. Like if I'm in somewhere it's just like mud water, then I'd probably just bring a pump. But the SteriPen seems to work. Like you can keep it in your pocket. It's light. It's like I'm not really worried about. Originally, I was worried about like the batteries and stuff like that, but I've never had it not work. So that's another thing that I definitely carry if I'm doing like water filtration, purification kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's another piece of gear that I've got. I always have some, I think like pretty much standard in a lot of people's kit. I've always got some kind of cordage. I just find a lot of uses for it, hanging quarters and other things. But I'm trying to think, there's probably one other piece of gear that I always have that's kind of like unnecessary.
While you're thinking about that, I want to talk about the SteriPen. So Nick, my buddy, we were hunting in that same trip, moose. Gosh, the battery, I don't know. It just wasn't lighting up. It's how it's supposed to. And I don't have one, so I'm not quite sure how it works. But, I mean, that made us a little nervous how when he was stirring it or whatever, it wasn't lighting up. I don't know if you've had that issue with it.
It doesn't necessarily need to light up, though, because that light's just for your it's just to make it look nice for you. The UV light's invisible. So the stuff that actually kills the bacteria has no visible light.
Oh, okay. I thought like when you're supposed to be done stirring that the light goes off or something. Maybe that's not the case.
Oh, yeah. I think there's like a safety thing of like green light. And if you pull it out too soon, then it turns red.
Yeah.
At least the one I have. The one I have is pretty old. But generally, it's like it lets you know whether it's good or not, like whether you accidentally pulled it out or it's because it's based off time. So,
right.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never had any problems with it.
Right on. That garbage bag tip, that's solid. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I use it obviously. Mostly, the primary reason I have it's just for packing out, keeping blood out of all my stuff.
Yeah.
Especially in grizzly country or whatever. Like it's way cleaner. It keeps the meat cleaner too. And then just when it's in the pack, it's just as a pack liner. So I still use the game bags and everything, but I just line my pack with it.
Oh, nice.
Just like Husky contractor grade garbage bags or whatever.
Nice.
Trash compactor bags, something like that. Unscented, obviously, but
good cleanup for the way out when you get home or whatever. Less crap to have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing worse than, or like getting your pack all bloody and then it being like really rainy and then it's just like bear bait for the rest of the
Yeah.
season. It's hard to get out. So
Exactly. No, that's cool, man. I definitely learned some things there. Thanks for sharing some of that stuff.
yeah,
One of the next questions I didn't really have outlined for you in an email here, but I'd like to ask you. So I know Tim pretty well, Tim Burnett. I know that
yeah.
you kind of cut your teeth in solo hunter. Like when you were doing all this adventure stuff, the stuff that you already love to do, how did you meet up with Tim? And I don't know if you ever podcasted about this, but what were your aspirations to get into this industry and do what you were doing? Or did Tim just know that you were hardcore enough that you would take that extra level of effort to do that self-filming stuff? I mean, talk a little bit about that inception, because me filming my hunts too, dude, you have to work your ass off. Not only just to film a hunt, but to even do it solo. And I film solo hunts too. Dude, it is so much work. But in my mind, I'm like, I have to think about this dynamic between you and Tim and his level of confidence and trust, and that you were going to do it. And that you could do it. So I'd like to talk about the dynamic and just a little bit about that, because I think that's absolutely incredible that unless you've done it, a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah. No, so it's actually kind of funny. So I kind of always wanted to do some TV stuff, and I was like, I had no clue how to get into it. I was just guiding. I was filming all my like clients' hunts, and I didn't have anybody that would like go with me on anything. So I actually just started filming my stuff like well before Solo Hunter.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? I don't know how to make a TV show, but I'm just going to film as much as I can, and I'll gain some experience and maybe figure something out along the way. So I just started filming myself because I didn't have any other way to do it. And I liked being able to share those videos and stuff. And then I saw something, I can't even remember. It was like on, maybe I didn't even have TV. So I must've been at someone's house and like a commercial came up for like, hey, Solo Hunter is looking for your footage.
Oh, really?
And so I was like, huh, okay. And I was like, yeah, sweet. And I sent in like an email. I just wrote down the thing and sent in an email, and was like, yeah, I've got like, I think I had like 35 hunts filmed.
Oh my
at
gosh.
the time, including like a 380 bull being shot, 200-inch mule deer.
That's insane.
A bunch of other stuff. And so he was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I can mail it in. And he sent me the address. And I was like, oh, that's 3 miles away from me.
Oh, down there in Reno.
Yeah. So I was like literally just right down the street, and had no clue. So, so I like did that. And I think like the first couple seasons, it was like, because I had so much stuff, it was like 90% my stuff. And then I just, obviously continued and just got better at it as the years went on and got different cameras and different equipment.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
35 hunts.
Yeah.
Before you even thought it, did you just want to practice, or did you think one day I'm going to use this for like something?
No, I mean, my whole philosophy has been like, if I don't like, let's say I just don't know how to do something, I was just like, I just start doing it. And so that was my process of just starting to do it. And I thought some of it was pretty good at the time too, where I was like, some of it was maybe just me, like it was self-filmed, but it was like me while taking a client or like a friend, and then filming myself when I was on my own hunts. And so I just constantly filmed stuff. I mean, I started filming stuff when I was 13 years old. Like I just always, every hunt, I just started filming.
It was almost like you're born for this, man.
Yeah. And so it was more of I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to get a TV show. I don't know anything about TV stuff, but if I film everything I can, at least I can like start to figure things out maybe. And so I just started doing it like, yeah, I'm just going to film my own TV show for my own self. It was really just, I mean, most of the time I just edited the stuff, and like, like me and my buddies had like little films that we would make, like, you just get your buddies together around tag draw season. We'd watch these DVDs. I don't know. I guess it's like rap mixtape days, but it's just like hunting videos and passing them out. Like, check this out. This is awesome. Yeah. Give them to clients and stuff like that.
Or you got AC/DC playing as you're hiking in on a buck or something.
Oh yeah, dude. It was, I had a lot of Led Zeppelin. So it was all good stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's kind of how some of our first videos started. And obviously your level of production is sky high now, and we can talk more about that. But, dude, what a cool story that you just grinding out those hunts, had no idea what you're going to use them for. And, every time you hike past the camera, whether it's you or Tim, I'm just like, oh, my gosh, that's got to suck to set up that tripod, walk past it when you're already smoked, carrying out a buck, or you just want to get home. Like, people don't understand like what it takes to earn success, and that's literally working your ass off when no one's watching, no one's looking, and people don't understand the level of effort it goes into not only filming a hunt, but like doing it solo. So every time you walk past that tripod, I'm like, dude, that must suck.
Yeah, I think the part that actually sucks is the part that people don't see, because you're always carrying the camera on the tripod and you're always carrying your bow. So you have no hands to catch yourself. It's like, and you're like, your arms are just like, you just like carrying big weights all day. It's
getting tennis elbow and wearing your shoulders out because they're so exhausted.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, man. But look what it's done for you. I mean, just the work that you put in and what you've created for yourself and who you are now. Obviously, you always believed in it, but it's crazy how much time and effort goes into making this person into a professional.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's been a lot of time.
You mentioned the 380 bull and the big 200-inch mule deer that you caught on camera ever before Solo Hunter started. I think I saw those 2 episodes. Was it that big, heavy buck across the draw that you went and stalked in and killed?
Yep. Yeah.
So that was one of your first ever.
Yeah, that was one of the first solo episodes. And I actually had a buddy with me on that, but he didn't really know how to do a camera. So I was like, kind of like, okay, just make sure it's pointing in the right direction kind of thing.
That's awesome.
I mean, obviously that was filmed like, I think 2 years before Solo Hunter ever existed. And then
that's cool.
The elk, kind of a similar deal. There's a big velvet bull that I shot in Nevada.
Was that a muzzleloader bull?
No, it was a rifle.
It was a rifle bull.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched those 2 hunts. Pretty incredible. Capture that kind of stuff on film.
Yeah.
Top 5 hunts all time.
You mean just like specific hunt?
It could be adventure. It could be the level of adventure. The obviously the level of the animal. It could be the country, the experience. I want to hear your top 5 favorite hunts of all time.
I mean, one of them is that big mule deer that I shot across that canyon. I mean, it was just one of those, like, obviously it was a big buck and that's really cool, but just the way that hunt worked out, I think was just, I don't know. There's a lot of backstory to it as well. But I think that just like the way that actually worked out was pretty sweet. It's one of my favorite deer that I've ever taken. And just like one of the hunts that really I think about it as just like it was an awesome day. Like sometimes you go out and you're like, sometimes the difference between that day and any other day is not very much, but it worked out right and made all the right moves and like it came together. I'd say another top hunt was last year. I guess it would have been 2020. My wife got her first deer with a bow.
Oh, that's cool.
She was pregnant and she was like really dedicated, man. It was like pretty crazy to see because it was pretty much the month of December. I was in Alaska up until the 8th. So we had from like the 8th till I think the end of the month. And she hunted, I can't remember. It was like the entire season though, every day, including Christmas Day. Like she was dedicated and and she finally got her buck like 3 days before the end of the season. And just like, I think she was 4 months pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
Like that. And it was snowing and cold. Like it's a cold weather migration hunt. And, there's like major ups and downs, you get in, it's like a lot of stuff that didn't work out. And then, finally got a buck. And that was just like a really cool experience of just seeing her, like, I was just like, okay, at any point, like, it's okay if you don't get one. And she's just determined. and we went out every day and, it was a lot of fun.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So that is definitely one of my top hunts. And then, I mean, I love like big mountain hunts. So chasing tahr in New Zealand. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those episodes.
Yeah. I mean, there's not necessarily, there's a couple of places that I really like, a couple of places in New Zealand that I like to hunt. And it's around that glacier country kind of stuff. And it's just really rough country. And there's some good bulls in there. They actually aren't as big as other places, but it's just like some gnarly country. And I love going in there and finding a good bull tahr. It's fun to chase them with the bow too. It's such a challenge and such a crazy country. Like every day there is just such an adventure because those mountains are so gnarly.
Is it the remoteness, not seeing other people too, that you enjoy? I know sometimes I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, like I generally just pick a spot and like cover the range over 5 to 10 days, and rarely ever will you see another person. and it's just like, cliffs and mountain climbing, and you got to use your ice axe and river crossings and glacier crossings. And I'll have crampons with me and the whole deal. Like, it's mountaineering and hunting. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is cool.
I've had like some sketch, and so a lot of the sketchy places I go, I haven't even filmed those. It's just like more of a personal hunt.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, if you have your camera out and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just not feasible. But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite hunts.
Sometimes the level of adventure is just awesome on the hunt, and it just means so much. It's like sometimes for me, the harder the hunt, the more I enjoy it. Even though you're like thinking the whole time, like, this is stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, I mean, there's been times where I'm like, I'll never do this again. And then I'm like, but maybe I'll go do it one more time. Those hard hunts are definitely ones that like are very memorable. I think I would say another very top hunt, maybe this is even one of my top hunts, is my brother and I went elk hunting on a Fognak Island.
Okay. I watched that episode too.
Actually we haven't, there's no videos of that.
Oh, so I haven't watched that episode then.
No, but
I remember you on a Fognak at some point.
Yeah, I've been there multiple times. I've done a lot of hunts there, but I have my brother and I filmed the entire thing. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the coolest things ever filmed, and I've never edited it. It's like, I just keep running out of time. I don't know why, because like it's so good. I want it to be good, and I just haven't had the time to commit to it. It is, in my opinion, like one of the coolest hunts I've ever been on. And it's not hard to find the elk or whatever, but getting the elk back was a struggle. Like, we had to go up this 3,000 foot range and then down another 3,000 feet through just like shit country, super wet with, we killed 2 elk, which were about 1,400 pounds a piece. So
yeah, because they're big.
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah. On that trip, like, we were dying. So it was like, what was it? 100-pound packs for 40 moving hours on our GPS.
My gosh.
Yeah. So it's like 40 hours of walking with 100-pound packs. That's nuts.
That's nuts.
It's insane.
So their antlers aren't as big on a Fognak, but their bodies are just ridiculous. They're Rosies, right?
Yeah, they're Roosevelts. The one I shot was super heavy.
That's cool.
I've actually got his rack right here. But
yeah, grab that if you want to grab that.
I can grab it. I think I got to take a bunch of stuff off, though.
Yeah, you're fine. Gosh, man. Gosh, that sucker's heavy. Yeah, that's a heavy bull. They must not have long main beams. They're more massive.
Yeah, it's like super heavy. I think this is like, it's almost like, I don't know. I've got like, I think I weighed it. I can't remember what the weight is.
That's insane.
It's super heavy. Like, it's super dense, because you got to think like it's a 1,400 pound animal.
Right.
That's fighting another 1,400 pound animal. So if they had long tines, they'd just be smacked. They wouldn't work. Like, almost every elk there
that's a good,
has broken tines.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everything's short and heavy. Like, I mean, this rack is probably like, I don't even know what it scores. Not crazy, but it weighs more than like a 380 bull.
Huh, that's insane.
That's how dense they are. Yeah, it's crazy.
So what's it like finding a mature animal on a Fognak? Is it pretty tough?
I don't know. It's not that tough finding the animals. It just depends. Like, we've got it pretty dialed. So, some people have trouble even finding them. We kind of know where they're at there. So
that's pretty cool.
That part's not super hard, but like the access to getting to where they are from where you can get to is tough. Like, you might know where they are, but it's like, well, okay, you kill it and then you got to carry it a long ways back. It's like most people moose, they're the size of a moose. So it's like most people moose hunt where they can get them out super easy.
Right.
They use horses. They've got a river. They've got within a mile on flat stuff. And this is like, you got to climb a 3,000 foot mountain vertical both ways to kind of get in there and, get in there and get them out and stuff.
That's crazy. So a Fognak, man, epic level. 10?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a 10. It's fun.
Huh, that's cool. And draw odds, not so great.
Yeah, not really.
That's one I want to do eventually. But it's so hard, man. How do you fit time for all the hunts that you want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you just say yes to all of them, or do you actually try to like? Is there some rhyme or reason to how your schedule goes?
No, I pretty much say yes to everything.
Peyton's laughing because that's about like me. I'm like, oh yeah, Kyrgyzstan. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. Yeah, I can make time for that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh yeah, I'll figure it out. I mean, and especially too, because you might have something planned and then you draw something and you're like, well,
Exactly.
crap, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I just got to go. I mean, there's some hunts that I've literally I've like do a lot of e-scouting because I might be there for one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I've got a bow hunt. I've got literally 1.5 days to hunt. I can't even count the amount of hunts that I've had that I've literally had 1 or 2 days and traveled a long ways to get there. But I mean, that's a lot of people, man. It's like you hunt on the week, you got a weekend to hunt.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go make the most of it. Yep. And I've done really well doing that too. So
yeah. That's, I mean, 4 kids, and actually would put this on the record here. 1 on the way. Whoops.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So, I mean, I'm 35 years old. Dude, it's about to get crazy. My wife said no hunting next year. I said, oh, babe, come on.
Yeah.
So it's going to be infinitely more challenging for me. And I'm kind of like you. I don't ever say no. I'm just like, oh, I'll figure out a way. Oh, one day there, one day there. I'm like, I could get something done that quick. And it's like, man. Then you're like out on the hunt. You're like, wow, I kind of overscheduled myself here. What was I thinking? At least
for sure.
That's at least how I get anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been sometimes too, like I'll have a couple tags that are nearby and it's like, if you've got an elk tag and a deer tag and antelope tag in like the same area, and I'll just ping pong between every hunt. I was like, I'm never successful doing that. I got to pick one thing and just focus on it. But sometimes you just gotta, it's just fun to just be moving and trying different stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, Kyrgyzstan, I want to hear about your, obviously did Mid-Asian Ibex. Literally I was on the internet and I was like thumbing around on Instagram. I was like, man, I'm going to reach out to this outfitter. So reach out to this outfitter, and 6 weeks later, I'm going on an ibex hunt. I'm like, no way.
Cool.
So I know yours was in collaboration with Seiko, maybe?
Yep.
Seiko, okay. But I want to hear about that. Was that kind of a dream hunt for you? And tell me a little bit about that adventure.
Yeah, it was definitely a dream hunt. I mean, I love sheep hunting. Anytime I can get on a sheep hunt, it's like, that's awesome. I mean, I go on anytime I find somebody that draws a tag, like I try to jump on the hunt. I've guided a lot of sheep hunts. I've been on a lot of sheep hunts myself. I've drawn a few tags, some good tags as well. And yeah, I think like, when you think about sheep, like Marco Polo or Argalis are just like the top of it.
Yeah.
They're just so cool looking. And I always wanted to travel to that part of the world. And so, it was definitely a dream hunt. In that trip, like a little bit of behind the scenes, like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was like, and it sounds terrible, but I literally had 1 day to hunt there, and that sucks because
really
just so much. Yeah, it was.
Did your luggage not show?
Yeah, nothing really showed up. Travel, it took us essentially a week or more to get into camp. Like it was just like everything just kept going wrong.
That's insane.
So it just was, that part of it was a bummer. I wish I could have like really done more, like it was kind of like found rams, had to shoot the ram because like we had to get out the next day.
Oh, apparently. Wow. Short-lived.
It was very short-lived. So that part is kind of like a bummer. I would love to go back and chase ibex.
Yeah.
I think they were just like so cool. I got to see a few and you're like, oh yeah.
So cool.
And have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So like for me, the animal is part of it, but more it's the experience. And so like the experience was kind of cut short. So it was like, man, I felt like I just, I had an experience, which I think a lot of people said you might have an experience like this. And I did, and I was like, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Because you hear those stories of like, just, like the logistics can get really screwed up really fast. And it did. But, I think now looking back on it, I was like, that part really sucked. But then I'm like, oh, it's just part of the story of like how it went down.
I waited in Karakul for 2 days waiting for my bags to show up. And my buddy who I was hunting with, he's like, let's just go. We can split gear. I'm like, dude, I am not going into the Taichung Mountains with like leftover like hand-me-downs. Like,
yeah,
dude, it's rough stuff. And I don't know where you were hunting. Did you go Bishkek to Karakul, and Karakul to the mountain?
No, we went a different way, but different part of the country. But I mean, it would have been a big deal. Like I would have been like, sweet, let's go. But it was for a rifle company, a Sako. Like, you know, it was like I would have been there if it wasn't for them. So I had to wait. Like my gun was missing, and essentially got like stolen uh, in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Somebody that like had seen it on, you know, like you hear the stories, but like somebody had done something like illegally seized a gun that they weren't allowed to touch. Like they've got what is it, like? I guess it's not TSA there. It's like a private company that does their TSA. Yeah, and somebody like grabbed the gun and took it and left it in customs after it had already been checked through and all the stuff was there, and nobody could find it.
Gosh, that's insane. You know what I almost wonder? I wonder if sometimes people handling the guns, if they just hate guns, so they just do stuff to screw with us.
Yeah, it was an intentional thing. Because but here's the funny, like the random, like crazy funny thing is nobody could find the gun. It was completely missing, like almost like reported stolen, missing, like it didn't exist anymore.
How'd you eventually track it down?
Somebody in customs was walking by and was like, why is there this gun here? They're like, there's no paperwork on it. They're like, you know, because normally customs would deal with a gun coming into the country, right? And it's like, they're like, he's like, where is this gun? What's the deal? And he looked at the written, like I taped over this thing with my name on it. Cause I think a lot of my bag tags and everything were still on there. Or I don't even know if they were actually, take that back, but somehow my name was on it. And he looked at it. He was like, oh, I know this guy. I follow him on Instagram. He sent me a message.
Oh, you're kidding.
He's like, are you missing a gun? And I was like, yeah, I'm missing a gun. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even be hunting. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
oh, my God.
What are the odds of that? You know? And so it's like somebody, you know, working in customs that hunts, and it's like somebody that didn't hunt threw it in there, you know, like had no clue what they're doing.
That's crazy.
And yeah, luckily I always threw locks inside my gun case. And so they were able to cut the locks and then, you know, check it and then lock it and then resend it.
Oh, that's interesting. You throw an extra set in there?
Oh yeah, always.
Huh.
Because you know, if you're missing a lock, if something happens and they had to cut a lock, then they can't ship it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I keep like 4 locks in the gun case and then lock it up, and then that way, if something happens, like if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to hunt.
Wow, that's an excellent tip going forward. I am definitely going to put 2 locks in next time.
Yeah, and even whether you use, I mean, I've had locks break. Like I've had a lot of locks break. You know, some of the like, you know, number locks, and had to cut them. I just had to cut locks off yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So it just happens so much.
Yeah, that's great. How did you pronounce Seiko? I obviously butchered it. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Seiko.
Seiko. Okay. So did you reach out to them and ask them to overnight you something, or was that even a possibility? Or
no, that's not a possibility.
Gotcha.
Because you have to have your like, yeah, it just wouldn't have worked because.
Oh, because you have the serial number already pre-done and all that stuff.
Serial number
that's
already
right.
on there. Yeah. So it was like, it had to be that gun.
Yeah. Duh. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So it was a stressful trip, or how do you handle stress? I know I would have been stressed out.
Yeah, I just kind of was like, well, this is just how it's going down. So, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you don't get too spun up then.
Yeah, no. I mean, you try not to.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Well, dude, I want to go back in 2 years for Ibex because I want to do a combo.
Yeah.
So I'll have to hit you up if I end up going back, but that's kind of my preliminary goals is go back and do Ibex again. It's just so epic. It's just so neat watching them things.
Yeah, they are super cool. Wait, when you said Seiko, Sako.
Yeah. So is it Sako or Seiko? I swear I heard you say
Sako.
It's Sako?
Yeah.
Okay, Sako it is.
One's a watch company. The other is a gun company.
So so Sako's the gun company.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a Finnish company.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because I spent 2 years in Sweden actually.
Oh, cool.
And spent some time with some Finnish dudes. Lived with a couple Finnish dudes, so they're awesome. Anyway, yeah, that's cool, man. So short-lived. I mean, did you get the bug to do other international things when you did that hunt? I know I certainly did. I'm like, man, I want to do Altai. I want to go kill a bezoar in Turkey. Did you get some of that same?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely got a list of places that I'd love to go check out, and I have for a while. So there's definitely going to be some places that try to figure out ways to get there, and Yeah, I've got a good network of people that I know that work and live in some random places. So it's definitely going to be doable, but it's just, time and figuring it out too.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously like the whole COVID situation um, really put a damper on a few, a few adventures, but in some ways it actually, like, there were some other opportunities that came up because of it that I probably would have never been able to do otherwise too. So,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Just is what it is. Yeah.
So if you had to pick one species you could only hunt till you died, what would that species be? I'm going to let you just answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked that question a lot, and it's like, that's a really hard question. But honestly, probably mule deer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think and there's a few reasons for that. It's like I love those big mountain hunts, but like you can hunt mule deer in the mountains, and I would probably say sheep, but I just know it's like, I mean, realistically, it's like, well, I mean, those tags are so few and far between and stuff. So it's like, oh, well, you can only hunt sheep. It's like, well, yeah, but how often can you hunt them?
Right.
If every hunt and I don't even know if it's like, well, what sheep would it be? So honestly, I think it would definitely be mule deer. I love their antlers. I love the way that I think it's probably the hardest thing to hunt with a bow, in my opinion, like a big mature mule deer.
Yeah.
Especially in like a lot of places that I hunt. I feel like it's a lot more difficult than a lot of other hunts. Like you can do it your whole life and still never really be the best at it.
Yeah.
Like they always figure out ways to kind of trick you,
Yeah.
And then I've had like some great over the counter tags where it's like, man, you're just struggling to find a mule deer, but you might kill a big one. You might not even see a buck. So I think there's just so much variety in it that I love it. And it's kind of one of those, like, it's funny, when I was growing up, it's like all we had to hunt was mule deer.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, man, I just want to hunt something else. And then you like, over time,
that's how I felt too.
Mule deer is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Not having had too many conversations with you, I almost would have bet $1,000 you'd have said mule deer.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just, man, there's just so much, like, it's such a challenge. There's so many different, you could go hunt mule deer in the flat breaks of like Montana, and then you can go hunt them in like, the alpine of Colorado. Like they're in every type of terrain, every kind of, and and it's a pure, in my opinion, especially with like a bow, it's like a pure spot and stock game.
Yeah. It's
I
so
don't think
fun.
There's a more spot and stock challenge,
Yeah, it's never the same. And I don't know about you, but I have the same personality. I don't like to do the same things all the time. And, chasing mule deer in so many different environments, like, for example, a desert mule deer next to the Mexico border, he's going to behave so much differently than, say, even a Nevada or a Utah desert mule deer.
For sure.
They don't go in the mountains, even though there's mountains there that run that range that runs in the Sonora range that runs from Mexico into Arizona and New Mexico. It's like here they're in the mountains. And there they don't even get into the mountains. Kind of like old Mexico, where the Coues deer in the mountains and the mule deer in the flats. It's just so crazy how much different the hunting is just from state to state with mule deer. And I think that's and like you said, they're smart.
Oh yeah.
And it's cat and mouse, it's strategy, and knocking down a big mule deer with a bow. There's nothing quite like it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So. Well, I know one question I had for you. So tell me about this new production stuff that you got going. Okay, so I watched that Newfoundland moose hunt, and I kind of saw you look over, like you looked over to your right to make sure. I think your cameraman had that second angle as that arrow was blowing through that moose, and I'm like, I wonder if Remy's like focusing. And just the look you gave your cameraman, I wonder if Remy's focusing on like super high level type of filming now, where you're like trying to get those kill shots in the slow-mo and the 1020 or the 120 frames a second, and you went from POV to like really high level production. Talk about that. Am I wrong when I saw you give that look to make sure he's ready?
No, you're right. I mean, like, having filmed stuff myself, like, I know how to operate as a camera,
That's cool.
Operate a camera and like whatever. And I think that it's, I'm not stopping doing self-filming or solo hunts. Like, every hunt's a little bit different, So like, but I just thought, like, an opportunity to do some other stuff that's, I mean, kind of like things that I've done for other companies, but not necessarily have other people film it, like just know the people. So it's like a consistent group of people doing it. Like, you know, I've done stuff for Under Armour in the past, Under Armour films. And it was always like a different camera guy or a different company like coming and doing it. And it was, in many ways, that is way harder than self-filming for me. Because it was just like, I like to hunt a certain way. I like to hike really far. I like to go light, go like whatever it is. I like to do it a certain way. And so for me, it was like, dude, I'd rather just self-film. And then so I thought, well, man, if I can create like my own little group of people, team, and just like go out and do those same films, but kind of with my own style and have like, you know, however I hunt, like we can incorporate that into it, then that'd be pretty sweet. So is kind of in addition to the self-film stuff. So I'm not self-filming. And I'm also like, I also don't want to like get put in a box of like, oh, this guy only does this, because there are some things that I was like, man, I think we could do some cool stuff. Like, you know, especially like having the patience to like wait for the right kind of shot.
Exactly.
That other camera set up and like, it takes, I don't think people understand like how much of like, it's like, okay, like you have to stock it a certain way and it has to be like the right scenario. And you're like, but I was kind of like, you know, we talked about it that ahead of time and trying to get that set up of like, how cool would it be with the bow to like see, like, I mean, I run a heavy setup with my arrows and I'm like, you know, I just like curious of like getting that kind of different angle and like a little bit higher quality production out of it. You know, so we'll always have like some, I guess like those like benchmark film type things where someone else, and those are mostly going to be when I do something for a company. Of like, instead of just having a random crew come and do it. Right. And then still doing like, there's a lot of hunts that I'll just self-film because it's just more my style, more something I just like. I like the challenge of whatever. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix, but for sure. So yeah, I've been stoked. I think people have been stoked on some of those films.
Yeah. I have a couple comments on a few of those things. Like I know those kill shots, namely the caribou hunt and then the Newfoundland moose hunt, they were not on purpose. And I was telling my guys, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, do you realize he had to have 2 people stock in on this animal? And he also had to have his cameraman not blow out the animal, as he was like, he would have had to been like around you, kind of turn to the side stalking in. And it's cool because I'm with you in the sense that like, sometimes I'd rather, before I felt like I had a good crew too, I felt like I'd rather do self-film stuff my own, because I know how hard I could go. I knew the shots I wanted, and I could see we can call it a frustration if it is a frustration, but like having different cameramen all the time, you don't really get to know their style. And honestly, you know, cameramen who haven't gone hard in the paint, if you will, some of them might not like to push hard and get uncomfortable, because that's sometimes to get the animal and to get the film, everyone's really uncomfortable and busting their ass. And not everyone likes to hunt like that. And you know what I mean? So having a different cameraman all the time, I could see them like, wait, we're going to go over there and we got 20 minutes before light. I'm not going. Or, you know, I'm not doing this, or I'm not climbing up there. We probably aren't even going to see the animal. We're going to blow the shot. And then the hunter has to stress about, okay, I got to worry about trying to find this animal, get on this animal, kill him. And I'm kind of have a little bit of anxiety about, is this guy going to keep up with me? He's getting a little bit grumpy, if you will. You know the drill.
Yeah. It's and I mean, not to say like, there's a couple people that I've worked with that are just like the highest level. You know what I mean? And they're just like, dude, I would go on any hunt with them. I've done a few with just some different people, like some of the stuff that I did with the Saco films, and then some of the stuff with the Made with Meat company. And I was just like, dude, I'd hunt with those guys any day of the week. Like I hunt with them outside of, you know, filming or whatever. Like just guys that like have that, let's go over there. Let's go that next ridge. Like, I don't care how far it is, we're going to go. And not having to worry about that when you're hunting. But like you say, man, when you're that's what I love about the self-filming aspect too, is like, I don't like to, it's a weird feeling too, like on the, actually on the Saco that recent Newfoundland caribou hunt. There was a bigger bull that I probably could have killed, but I wasn't thinking enough of like having one guy stay a little bit further back. And we snuck in essentially like a 3-pack sneaking in, and that animal blew out like, and it was just kind of heartbreaking.
Was
and
that on the film?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that giant blown out.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was a bummer. And I was like, oh man, that was our good opportunity. And thinking like, I hate that feeling of like wanting to blame something on someone else, because it really, it's like, it wasn't anyone else's fault. That was my, like, right. That was my fault. But also like, if somebody else made a noise, like I put them in a position to like, that's where it's like, if you're filming yourself, dude, everything that goes wrong is all on you.
Yeah, you can only blame yourself.
Suck it up and you own it. And it's so easy to just pawn blame off if you can. Yeah. So I hate that feeling of like, maybe it wasn't, I just don't like that. Like, I don't like to be that person. I like to be that person that's like, I screwed up, whatever. Like I just don't like it.
You can only blame yourself.
And then everybody else, let's say you're stalking in and somebody accidentally drops something and that animal runs off. They feel just as shitty too. So it's like, it's a terrible scenario to put people.
Oh yeah. But how valuable is the cameraman that can stalk and film?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's like, you got to keep those guys,
Yeah. For
sure. I had a cameraman one time, and I don't know, he had a high metabolism or something, but we'd be on a stalk on a mule deer, and he'd be open Snickers wrappers, and all I could hear is the wrappers going. And we're like 40 yards from deer. I'm like, dude, really? Like, really?
Yeah.
And like, so there's a lot to say about a really good guy and cameraman. But you know, when I watch those films, I could tell you had a new strategy going there, and I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot. And again, it goes down to, if you haven't done it, maybe some people don't recognize the level of effort, that goes into that. But I can only imagine the level of effort and planning and that goes into that. So hats off to you for doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So another question for you. Tell me what's going on in the world and some of your partners that you work with. I noticed that who are you going to be working with in terms of outerwear stuff?
Yeah, no, I switched up my outerwear, the company that I work with. I mean, I've been with Under Armour for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then I actually just today, I started working with First Lite now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
that was one of my bets. I said it's going to be First Lite. I told these guys this morning, I'm like, he's going to be going with First Lite.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that I think there was like, everybody was like, whoa, what happened? Is it this and is it that? And dude, it's not even like, it's not even that. I think it's like, for me, I felt like I worked with Under Armour for a very long time. And I helped kind of like develop their gear in a lot of ways to get like a kit that I thought was incredibly awesome.
Yeah.
And then also I think that like, and I like to kind of, so I'd never changed companies that I'd worked with. And I thought, maybe now it was a good time because like, I'm sure people understand there's like contracts and other things. So, and I wanted to, it wasn't even a contract thing. It was, I don't know if people understand the way that like gear is made, but it's a very long process. Like the clothes that you're looking at right now in like the development process will be 2 to 4 years out.
Right.
And so, I mean, the kit that they kind of have now, I started like on that path 4 or 5 years ago, and I wanted to see that to the end because I was like, I think it's really good. And then once it kind of got through, it's like, okay, now where do I go? Like that project was kind of done, and I felt like it was a good natural like point of like being able to move to another company that also does stuff within. There's a few, like I've got friends that work with First Lite. That was a big factor. And then just being able to kind of like go somewhere new and do something new is is very exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
In a lot of ways, like, hey, and there's a few things that I really like about like the reason I went to First Lite was, primarily, I just think that like we have the same philosophy on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like we both are very passionate about conservation, and I feel like they're very ingrained in like the Western hunting culture, which is like, that's my big thing, man. I mean, I live, breathe, eat, sleep, mountain hunting, Western big game hunting. And they're so like in that world that it's, I think it's just going to be like a really good thing for both of us. So that I was pretty stoked about.
That's cool. Congrats. And, I think First Lite's definitely improved their kit in terms of backpacking stuff too. So I think where you're more of a backcountry mountain hunting type stuff, I think that's a really good fit. You know, Under Armour's got some great stuff. One of the biggest companies in the world in terms of sportwear, right? But I feel like, you know, they have some good stuff. I've had those. What are the pants I wear in the solids? Starts with an R.
The Raider pants.
Yes, the Raider, or the Ridge Reaper Raider. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are cool pants, but I just feel like some of their stuff isn't really like super conducive to, you know, backpack hunting. And I don't know if that was their goal, was more whitetail tree stand type stuff. And obviously, like, and props to Under Armour, they're a juggernaut, but just doesn't seem as conducive to backpack stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I think, like, you know, where it's at now, it's a lot. It kind of got in that vein. Like, their final versions of things now are pretty, I would say, backpack friendly. There's still a couple pieces of kit that probably could make it better for backpack hunting. But yeah, I think, like, the other thing too is, you know, it's a large company and they are in hunting, but at any point, like, that could end too. You know, so it'd be kind of. That's, you know, it's like First Lite's not getting out of hunting.
Right. Yeah. And that's been rumored about Under Armour for years. They didn't know whether they're.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm getting people DM me all the time the posts about Cam Haynes and about you. I'm like, yeah, I know, I saw it, and I just tell people, it's like, I wonder what's happening. It's like nothing's happening. Sometimes just people go different ways. They didn't have to get in a fight or an argument or like, oh, screw this or screw that. They fire. No, it's just sometimes people choose to go different directions and companies move different ways, and they can amicably choose to, you know, go work elsewhere. And it's not, nothing's going on per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what, I can't speak for Cam, but it was like, it's not like anything. I mean, as far as we both just were kind of on the same track of, like, you know, we were working with them for so long, and it was just like happened to be a point where we could choose to move on or go there. And it's like, I still text people that work, like, I still work with a lot of the people that worked there, and, you know, they're some of my best friends. So it's not like anything happened. It's just, you know, you just want to try something new and do something different. And, like, there's really no crazy story behind it, but yeah, I mean, maybe I wish there was. It'd be easier to explain. You know?
It's like, yeah, you don't need to do any explaining, man. And and you know what's interesting? The internet always thinks they need an explanation too.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, my explanation is, like, I just always do what I think is, like, for me, like, what I'm gonna enjoy and really want to do. And I'm like, I found there's like, hey man, you know, doing this and working with First Lite now, I'm just like, it renewed, in some ways, kind of like renewed a passion for, like, doing some gear testing and, like, some development of new stuff. And I really love being able to do that. And so I'm super stoked. Like, that's kind of going to be a role that I get to take on.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey, you know, be really, like, a part of some of the new stuff that's going to come out, and you won't even see this stuff for 3 or 4, you know what I mean? So far down the track. But being a part of that process to me is like, I find that really exciting. Like, I like to have input and, like, be able to kind of, like, create things in a better way and, like, you know, use the way that and I also am, like, understand, like, the way I use something isn't the way that everybody uses things, but kind of, like, you know, be a part of that process. So to have that opportunity, I'm super pumped about, and it kind of in many ways, like, reinvigorated a little bit of, like, hey, it's something fresh, it's something new, and I'm really excited about it. Like, yeah, I don't know, it's just one of those things, just like how things go.
Yeah, no, I think that's super cool. And I can see your passion for this this new this new leg in your journey, and that's really cool. Where you can actually be a part of it and implement some of your ideas and the things and ways how you use them. That's a big deal, especially with, you know, there's not, you know, I don't know the people. I know some people at First Lite, and I don't know everyone internally, but chances are you spend more time in the hills than most at First Lite. You know, obviously Ranella does it full time and things like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes the people are designers, they're doing so much designing that they don't have the time to spend in the hills like you do. So that's why they rely on folks like you.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's a good company who they can rely on their quote-unquote pros or ambassadors or whoever, so they can improve. So that's pretty neat. And, you know, I'm sure Under Armour was good to you. They helped your brand, and you helped you helped theirs, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, when I think back on it, you know, it's like, it's crazy that they were like, hey man, we want to like partner with you and help you do stuff. When I was like, you know, realistically, when I started with them, I was essentially a hunting guide, you know, and like, like, whoa, here's a big company that like gave me a chance when other companies didn't.
Right.
And that's really like, that says a lot. I know they've had their things of like people being like, oh, are they in hunting? And I was like, man, they've been nothing but supportive of like hunting.
Yeah.
It's like, how many, it's like, yeah, everybody's like, things happen, whatever, maybe you don't, and you also don't hear all the sides of every story, but like, what other big companies like that large of a company are like, yeah, we've got hunting stuff and we like hunting,
Right. Not too many. Nike doesn't have a hunting line, right?
Yeah. Right.
Reebok.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. A buddy of mine who used to do like sports stuff for a while, and obviously like things change, company cultures change, but there was a point where it was like in their headquarters, right at their like press thing was like a big picture of like I was actually a picture of me, but yeah, it was just like a crossing a river in camouflage with a deer on my back, and you're like, that's nuts. That's their first impression, of like whatever. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it was I had a lot of fun with them, and it was cool. It was a cool company, and it's just one of those things, you move on and you do new stuff.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Oh, that's funny. Here we go. We can actually put this on. What company is he going to sign with next? Remy's favorite state to hunt. Yeah, answer that real quick. I think I know that one, but go ahead.
My favorite state to hunt? That's actually a really hard question to answer. I would say Nevada, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I grew up in Nevada, live in Nevada, and I've had, I've hunted a lot of places, and I think that like I keep coming back to Nevada because it's just like it gives you a really good opportunity to chase big stuff, which isn't necessarily like I like the opportunity of being able to hunt a lot, but I can go out of state and hunt places over.
Gosh, sometimes you just want quality animals, right?
Yeah, and living in Nevada just gives you like it's not even easy hunting. It's like a different kind of hunting than most places do, because you're like, oh, this is a really. I've been places it's like you get a draw tag and you're like, oh, it's like a slam dunk. And then some of the draw tags in Nevada, you're like, geez, these deer are way on edge. Like what did I get myself into?
Yeah, it's like, man.
But it's got cool seasons too. Like I love that early August archery deer season. It's hard to like get away from. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, that is a cool season. Oh, my buddy from Maui, this is a funny one. He owns a charter in Alaska, but he's from Maui. How does he get access to hunt more places on Maui than people from Maui? Asking for a friend.
I've got good friends there.
That's awesome.
I got good connections.
Speaking of Hawaii, that is a fun hunt, dude. Axis deer is probably really my favorite deer to eat.
Yep, it is so good, and
it's like candy.
Just such a fun hunt. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like baby elk. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely one of my favorites. The only thing that makes elk sometimes better is just like a larger size cut. But outside of that, like you cannot beat axis deer.
Yeah. It's like veal.
Oh yeah. Bone in axis deer chops. I try to shoot as many does as I can too. And it's like, we just do like bone in, like tomahawk style chops with those. And oh man.
It's good stuff. Is that a yearly deal for you or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I go over there quite often because I've actually got my grandma lives there, so I've got family that lives there, so we go over there and visit and hunt and stuff like that. So.
Heck yeah, man. Okay, so what we're kind of wrapping this up here, but what hunts do you have for this year? Anything planned? Are you kind of waiting on draws or any adventure type hunts?
Yeah, this year I've kind of always got a few things planned and then just wait for the draws. But I'll be headed to Argentina here in a little bit. New Zealand. Cool. I spent I guess 13 years hunting New Zealand, and like I've been locked out for the last 3, so it's been kind of weird. Like I haven't been over there. Normally I split my year between like Nevada, Montana, and New Zealand, and now it's like not over there this time. I would be over there right now if it were open, but
dang it,
yeah, it's just not. So I'm gonna go down to Argentina and try to chase some red deer down there, try to figure something else new out, and then I've got a caribou hunt planned with my dad and brother and some friends.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So yeah, it's just I don't know. I think caribou are pretty awesome animals. I've got caribou sitting here. But they're cool animals, and I think that it's like if you want to go caribou hunting in your lifetime, you got to do it now.
Yeah,
because I don't know. It's just like the opportunities are getting fewer and far between, and way more expensive.
Yeah, it's getting iffy.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's not that there's less caribou. Like it's just regulations are changing and things are changing places, and it's just becoming a lot more difficult. And I think it's like, I think it's an experience that you should. So it's like, my brother hasn't taken a caribou. I've got a couple friends that's like, they haven't. And I was like, man,
let's go.
If you want a caribou, we got to go. Yeah. Let's just do it. We got to do it.
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's a cool one. Did you do with Jeremy Rusnick a few years ago? You killed a slammer with him. He was telling me about that.
That's actually this one here.
Oh, is that one? Yeah, that thing is. I'm not sure you're into score or even scored him, but what isn't that like a 400, 420 bull or something crazy?
No, he didn't make it that high. He's like mid 3. He doesn't have. He's missing some, like, his tops are a little bit different and doesn't have a couple points, but he actually blew out of the truck and filed down a few points too.
Oh, that sounds like something that happened to me, man. That's
yeah, dude. I am strap it down guy. Like, I always strap everything down.
That's funny.
And we put the caribou rack in the bed of the truck, and it was below the rail caps. I'm like, solid. And a semi passed us, and it created a draft that like blew the caribou out of the truck. And it was like, I don't know how it happened, but it was like skidding with, it's like Jeremy stopped and the thing's like skidding down the road.
Oh my gosh!
Like,
this was pre-taxidermy then.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did you tear up his velvet? Did the taxidermist fix that or what?
No, it's funny the way it landed. Yeah, we were able to fix it. We harvested it a little bit, but it landed like a back scratch. A little bit of back scratches just got filed down.
Oh my gosh! That could have been way worse.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was fully expecting to just have pieces everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was.
That's funny, dude.
So
no, that's definitely one thing I want to get. Obviously, we're doing some heavily focused mule deer stuff for content for us this year, so I can't do it this year. But I have a buddy Jonah that runs an outfit in the Brooks, and I told him, I'm like, man, I got to get up there and do a caribou hunt eventually because I know the time's ticking on that. One other caribou hunt I want to do is I want to do that Greenland muskox hunt. Have you considered that?
Yeah, that's like really high on my list. I'm supposed to go this year. Actually, I've got a group of guys that I'm going with, but the timing might have like got screwed up with some stuff got moved around, and so I don't know if I'll still be able to go or what. But yeah, I'm supposed to be going and do that this August.
It's a tough time of year though with all our Western stuff, so it's like, man, but it's a once in a lifetime type of thing. So I just need to suck it up.
It was something that I was supposed to be going last year, and then it got bumped because of travel restrictions and everything. So it got bumped to this year, but it got bumped during a time that I already had something planned. So I don't know. We'll see. But I will end up there sometime. It's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. Muskox seem like, I know it's not like in a quote unquote difficult hunt, but I feel like that, especially in the wintertime, the weather is so difficult, and they're just like the craziest looking animals.
Yeah, they're nuts, huh?
And then I heard they're delicious too.
And boating in, I think you boat into them, and yeah. I think the adventure
early
there.
Early in the year, yeah.
Gotcha. And then there's a Norwegian caribou hunt that looks super dope. And me having some Scandinavian roots, I'd like to do that one too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. Well, unless you have anything else, we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate you taking over an hour of your time to kind of chat with us. So it was awesome talking to connecting with you. Hopefully we'll see you around.
Awesome. Likewise. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet, man. Good luck.
Bye.
Thanks, dude. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast there with Remy. I don't know about you, but definitely learned some things, especially those backpacking tips. And how he utilizes garbage bags. That's a really good idea to line that inside. I'm probably going to start packing garbage bags so I can, essentially not turn my pack into bear bait like he said. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we can improve, share the show, help us grow it. And then also, we want to give you an opportunity again to get on board with Basemap. Basemap.com/muleyfreak. Save 20%. We get a little kickback in one of the best mapping software there is in hunting GPS tech. So basemap.com/muleyfreak. You can transfer all your waypoints over from OnX, upload them directly into Basemap. You won't skip a beat there. So anyways, appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.